In the previous video, we talked about the semitone as the smallest entity of music, and that's something we are born with, that interval, that distance from note to note. And we also talked about that we have 12 of these steps before we hit the same note, and the same note meaning the note that has twice the amount of oscillations as the one we begun with, and or half, which is the lower, right? But then, that's what's common to all human beings. But if you look at then the cultures of the world, we favor different steps. We come up with different basic codes of music that determines the basic sound of the part of the world we're in. And in the West, we tend to favor the major scale. And that's our basic code, the basic structure of notes. And that is created by taking one semitone, then skipping the next, then going for the next. And this creates a whole tone interval. That's what we call it. But it's basically just three semitones or two steps here where we skip the one in the middle. And we do the same thing. And then, so we have one in the middle again there. So we have three notes with two inaudible semitones in between. And then we just, for the next, the fourth note, we just go up one semitone, so we have nothing in between there. And then we have a whole tone, skipping one, and we skip one again, go for the next one, and so on. And then when we start creating melodies on the basis of that structure, then it sounds... And then it sounds like music to us suddenly. It's not chromatic anymore, and we don't like that chromatic. It sounds like we don't know where we are. In other parts of the world, you could have something like the pentatonic scale being the basic building block of that style of music, and that would just be another code. It would be pulling out different notes, different intervals in between the notes. So, for instance, for the minor pentatonic, you would have the first note there. This is an A, it could be anything. And then you move up 1, 2, 3, so you skip two semitones. This is what we call a minor third, this interval here. We'll go back to these weird names later and why they're called what they're called, because that doesn't make sense, but we'll make sense of it anyway. So now we have a pretty large interval there, a minor third, in between the first two notes of the scale. In the minor pentatonic, then we have a whole tone interval, meaning we skip one semitone for the next one, and then we do the same thing. And then we have a minor third again, and so on. So taking these intervals, and you could start on any note, it's really a matter of the intervals in between the notes that creates the basic sound. And now I only have 5 notes, which is why it's called the pentatonic, because penta means 5. Right? But so if we take that scale and start building songs from that, it would sound something like this. That's the wrong note there. And if I, start doing this. Right? Then it sounds something out of a certain place in the world that... So depending on where you are from in the world, you have different preferences about the intervals that you choose. Because now I started on the A. I could have started anywhere. So it's really not about the notes as such. It's not about the specific oscillations. It's about the intervals, the distance in between the notes, right? And in the West, we tend to like that major scale sound. Other parts in the world like the pentatonic, and some people took the pentatonic scale intuitively and just added some blue notes to it. And then it suddenly went from to that bluesy sound, right? And it's all about the notes, and to some degree, how you play the notes. In another part of the world, we have another chord, also drawn exactly from those 12 semitones. And that could sound something like... This was the double harmonic scale. And that gives us a completely different sound. It's the same 12 notes. I just left out other semitones, so I had other intervals. And that gives me a completely different sound. And when that scale is really just intervals. But when that becomes the basis of melody creation, we start picking out notes from that scale, then we still have the same sound, but we get melody, right? Let's just do the pentatonic. We could... You still have the pentatonic sound, but now you have a little melody there. You could do the major scale. Right? You still have the basic sound, but now you have a melody with that sound. The double harmonic. No matter what you do with that scale, play in it, it still have that signature scale sound. And that is the sound of each culture in the world. Amazingly, same 12 semitones, and then we have those scales where we pick intervals and we leave out some of the semitones in order to get a basic sound that culture favors, that culture really likes.